What's going on, guys? I know it's been a minute since I uploaded a video. Been really busy with working on, I'll show you guys some videos of it, but I've been working on my father-in-law's Galaxy. It's got a big block Ford in it. Follow me on Instagram, you guys have already seen that. Me and Wyatt were making some motor mounts for it, and then later this week I gotta make some headers for it. Might show you guys some of that stuff, but I've been doing some customer work. That's why I haven't been able to get to this. And I've also been waiting on parts for this. So in this video, I want to try and get at least one of the Mustang knuckles on here. Now, before we start this video, I just want to mention I'm about 85, maybe 80% sure this is going to work. This might take a lot of work to get this Mustang knuckle to work. If it ends up being where the knuckle is too far out, I might have to shorten the control arm or make some custom ones. I still really don't want to make custom ones yet because it's just going to be a lot harder than modifying the stock ones. However, I'll explain that later. To get started today, I have to run around quite a bit today. I got to go to the machinist, taking you guys along with me to there. And then I also going to head over to PFI. Jamie has some front skinnies that I can borrow, just one of them to test fit that knuckle and see how it's going to stick in the fender. And then I also need to have him flow test my injectors. So I'm kind of curious to see if those injectors are clogged up or if there's something weird going on with them, and that's why my car wants to die and it's been idling weird. So before we go ahead and get started on taking the stock suspension off, I just wanted to mention, if you want to support the channel, head over to my website, link down below, and get yourself a t-shirt. I'm actually having a little sale going on right now. Right now it's $20 shipped for a t-shirt in the United States. If you use code BUILDSEASON at checkout, you can get 2 shirts for $30 shipped in the United States. Unfortunately, it's just kind of a hassle to ship anywhere out of the US right now. But if you guys want to get a t-shirt, go get one. I don't have that many left. If you want to support the channel, I appreciate it. Let's get started on taking the suspension off. Got the stock stuff all off. It's a really weird setup, like the hub and rotor are like all together and everything. I saw some people in the comments too mentioning that you can get a 5-lug swap for these from a 2nd gen RX-7, which is true, and they do offer coilovers and stuff, but it's not for the type of application I want. I need something for drag racing, so that is why I'm trying to Frankenstein this setup together. Now, what is this? This right here is an SN95 knuckle. I believe this came off a 1994 Mustang or a 1995 Mustang. So this is the stock lower control arm on the RX-7. This is a stock ball joint. Stock ball joint is a similar type to a stock ball joint on the SN95 stuff. So this is a ball joint for a 95 or 94 Mustang. And then my other issue was I ordered stock shocks for the SN95. They were way too long. My friend had a set of these strange single adjustables from a Fox body. These Fox body shocks bolt right into the SN95, and they're a little bit shorter. I believe they're gonna work just based off of measurements, but like I said before, I'm about 80% or so sure that this is actually gonna work. And it also works out nice. I got these are used, but they still work really good, and now I can actually adjust the dampening on the front, where before my stock stuff would just lift right up and do whatever because the shocks were so overloaded with that V8 in there. So I'm gonna go ahead, now that I got this off, I'm gonna bring this to the machinist and have him press out this ball joint, and then I'm going to see if there is enough room on this control arm to open this hole up enough to where we can fit this ball joint in there. If I remember right, it's about a 5mm difference that he needs to open this up. So I'm hoping that there's enough room under here to fit this ball joint, and it looks like there might just be barely enough room. And don't worry if it is a little sketchy and we take out too much material. I am gonna go ahead and end up boxing these all in. And now another thing I wanna mention, if the wheel ends up poking out too far out of the fender, I can go ahead and chop this and shorten it. Now, I'm not too afraid to do this because I will end up boxing it all in and it should be plenty strong. If this ends up not working, I will end up doing a custom control arm for it. Another thing I wanna mention, so it's gonna take a little bit of Frankensteining to get the top part of the shock to work. So I'm gonna be having to order camber caster plates for the top here, for these top hats. I'm going to be ordering the 2nd gen RX-7 because they're the same bolt pattern and they're a little bit easier to get for the camber caster plates. That leads me to another thing. I'm still waiting on those. They haven't showed up yet, but I wanted to make this video because I can still use the stock top hat and at least get the shock in there and make sure the shock is gonna be the right height. And I can figure out what wheels I need to order, or if I need to chop down this control arm and just get I just want to get stuff somewhat mocked up just to see if it's even going to work before I order anything else. I'm also missing the coilover sleeves for this. I do have a set of springs, but I just need the coilover sleeves, which those aren't too hard to get. Easy to get stuff because it's all for a Fox body. I'm hoping this is an easy solution to get a 5-lug setup on the front of this RX-7. I also forgot to mention I am going to be going to a steering rack setup instead of the steering box setup. That'll free up some room and make it a little bit nicer to drive. While I'm out and about today, I'm going to go ahead and pull the injectors off and take them to PFI like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to go ahead, pull these off, and then head over to the machinist and to PFI. Let's see it. Dang, dude. Master mechanic over here. Thanks, my dude.
Yeah.
That was easy. Oh, shit. Oh, hell, bro. That thing.
Knock it out.
Tap it out. Decent, dude. Thank you.
That's all you needed, bro? You're going to replace it with a new one?
Yeah, I'm gonna open up this hole and put a Mustang ball joint in it.
Oh,
so I can put them, well, no, so I can put those Mustang knuckles on and they're 5-lug.
Oh,
yeah.
Different.
Yeah, so I can get some 5-lug set up on it.
Nice.
Yep.
5-lug for yours.
Yeah, 5-lug for my car.
Big boy. Big turbo.
Yeah. And adjustable shocks. So
Nice.
hopefully it'll help a lot.
Oh, yeah, bro. Need to find a hammer now.
We are over here at the machinist. Scott, my machinist, has this in here all clamped down. So he's going to try opening up the hole for now. This isn't going to be final. We are going to end up, actually, probably, this is going to end up getting all machined out, this little lip here. And so what we're probably going to end up doing is, for now, we're just going to open up the hole so I can slide this ball joint in there, just for mock-up. And then later on, we're going to go ahead and open the hole up bigger, and then actually slide a piece of this in there, weld it to the control arm, and then he's going to go ahead and open this back up so that way it still has that lip. So that way it actually presses, it has more surface area to press into this instead of just the thickness of this plate. So I'm gonna go ahead and have him open this up, and then hopefully we can go back home and see how it all fits. Alrighty, boys and girls, so as you can see, this is a custom one-off piece Mazda Mustang control arm. So I had the machinist open this hole up, and then we went ahead, he left a 2 thou difference and went ahead and smacked this in with a hammer. Went in there pretty tight. It does not have that lip on there. And what me and the machinist were thinking, instead of making that little, basically like the shoulder for it to sit in there, it went in there really tight already. And this plate is about an 1/8 inch thick, maybe a little bit thicker. And what I was thinking is, instead of making that shoulder and unpressing it and opening it up, because we only have so much room to open it up right here, we would run out of room. I was thinking that we could just put like a little stitch weld here, a stitch weld here, and a stitch weld on the backside of this. Now, that would allow it to, that would not allow it to come back out, which is okay. That makes it, if I ever wanted to service it, that would make it a lot harder. I would have to cut the welds out or possibly get a new control arm, which I'm thinking about it. These are greasable ball joints and it's a race car. I'm thinking I probably won't ever have to change that ball joint out. So I'm thinking worst case scenario, if I ever have to change it, I just have to cut a little bit of welds out. I don't even think it needs the welds, but just to be safe, I would want to weld it. And that way I know for sure it's not going to pop out the backside. Now that I explained that a little bit, I went ahead and got some bolts. I'm going to go ahead and I did get some new bushings for these. I'm not going to throw them in yet. I just want to bolt this in there and see if my control arm is too long or is going to stick the wheel out too far. I did go ahead and get this skinny from Jamie. He let me borrow these from him. I also had Jamie flow test my injectors. They were pretty close. There's 1 or 2 of them that was a little bit off, a little bit under what the other ones were. I don't know if that was my issue. I still think I'm going to look into buying some nicer injectors. Those snake eaters aren't bad, but I don't know if it had something to do with the tune or if it was those injectors, if Holly was just not able to control those injectors that great. I'm still going to play around with them and mess with the dead times and stuff and the data on them. However, for right now, I'm not going to worry about that. I got other things to worry about. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the control arm on the car and then put the knuckle on and see how we're looking. I'm hoping it's not too bad. I do just have the stock camber caster plate up here. You can't adjust it. Just want to see if it's kind of fits in there right now. The camber is probably going to be all wonky in there, and it's not actually going to be able to tighten down. I just want to see if that shock is actually going to be short enough, because I was having a hard time with, I had the shock bottomed out on the SN95 stuff, and I still had a huge gap where the wheel would be in the fender. So I'm going to put it up in there, see how it looks, and I'm hoping we are not going to have to modify that control arm at all. Oh yeah. Dang. Some Mustang 5-lug stuff. Let's jack it up. Of course, this is not going to be tall enough, but we can put the wheel up in there. This is the part I'm curious to see. Oh, I think this is gonna fit once I get the camber plates and I can camber it in. Oh man. Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna have to jack it up higher to really tell. That's still a big gap, and I don't really know how much more shock travel I have. Gosh dang, got it where it would sit at ride height. I'd say it looks pretty good. Not gonna lie though, so these are 26-inch tall skinnies up front. I have 28s in the rear, but I tucked the rear so good, I actually think I'm gonna have to run a 24.5 up front. So as you can see, it has like the nose is way high, and this is where it would sit at ride height. This is where I would want it to sit at ride height. I can't really go much lower with it because the shock only has about this much of travel down before it actually bottoms out. I have to leave room for the little top hat thing for the springs. So it actually might have a little bit more of a gap with the 24.5s, but I'm okay with that as long as I can get the nose down, because right now it's about 1.5 inches higher in the front. So I really don't like that look. It kind of looks weird because these wheels and tires, so these tires are actually 23s and they're 13-inch wheels. So that's why those big wheels look so weird on the RX-7. It's because the stock front ones are super small. And of course, now that I got this to fit really well before I did the skinnies, with 26s up front, it looks really weird. So I think I'm gonna see if I can get a different backspace in this wheel too, if I can get a backspace that's more in towards the car, and then that would also help with tucking it a little bit better. And getting a 24.5 I think is gonna be my best bet. I'm sure I can find some used 24.5s to see before I order new. But yeah, check it out guys. Remember, this is with the stock plate up here. I can't adjust the camber, so once I actually get the camber caster plates, I can take this and actually fix the camber and bring the wheel, the top of the wheel in more to fix the camber, because as you can see right now, it's kind of going like this. It's a little sideways like this, so it needs to come in like this just a little bit, and I don't think it's gonna poke out hardly at all. That makes me super excited because that means I don't have to actually chop the control arms and shorten them down to get the wheel not to poke out. I'm super excited. It looks like the steering rack is gonna work also. I'm going to have to put a little bit of a spacer on it to get it away from the frame rail, but it's all looking promising. It's all looking how I imagined it would look, and I was hoping it would look. The other thing, if you guys did not see this sticks up a lot. I'm gonna have to have the machinist probably mill this down and then put new threads on it, just because this sticks up way too high and it would hit the hood, I imagine. So that's no biggie. I don't think that'll be too big of a deal. Like I said, this is gonna take a decent amount of custom work. However, I would rather go this route than going the FC route, just because the Turbo 2 stuff is hard to find, and then you also have to swap the whole subframe out, and then you still have to go to steering rack setup. So either way, you have to go to steering rack setup. The Mustang stuff is easier and cheaper to find, and it's really a no-brainer. All the Fox body and Mustang stuff is easy to get shocks for, and springs for, and coilovers for, and all that goodness. I'm gonna go ahead and order some skinnies that match the rears, and then I'm also going to order the coilover sleeves, and the caster camber plates should be here in just a little bit. I will be making some more videos once I get that stuff finalized, when I mount the steering rack and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know we didn't actually get to complete and put all the suspension on, but it's a step in the right direction, and we got everything figured out for what we need to do. So now I just need to go ahead, wait for the stuff to come in, and then put it all in there and get it all sorted out. I'm really excited for this. It's gonna be so nice having some matching wheels on this and get rid of those ugly front runners. Don't forget, if you wanna support the channel, go check out my website, link down below. Thank you all, y'all are awesome. Till next time, guys, we'll see you in the next one.